Millions of people may get expanded Social Security benefits. Nearly 3 million people could receive a boost in Social Security payments under legislation set for a final Senate vote in the coming days. The Social Security Fairness Act would end longtime provisions that reduce the federal benefit for people who are also eligible for other pensions. The policies have heavily affected people who worked in state, local, and federal government jobs, as well as teachers, firefighters, and police officers, according to lawmakers and advocates. The bill has bipartisan support but has drawn some criticism from some conservatives. The House approved the measure in November by a vote of 327 to 75, and the bill easily cleared its first hurdle in the Senate on Wednesday. Its backers hope the Senate will vote to send the legislation to President Joe Biden before lawmakers' lame duck session gives way to the new Congress in January. Here is more on what the bill would mean. What would the measure do? The bill would repeal two provisions that limit Social Security benefits for certain recipients based on retirement payments they get from other sources, most often, and not exclusively, a public retirement program of a state or local government. The windfall elimination provision modifies the usual benefit formula for retirees or disabled workers who are entitled to pension payments based on earnings from jobs that were not covered by Social Security. The details vary from person to person, but the idea broadly is that a monthly benefit is reduced by an amount tied to how much that person is receiving from a pension program in which they enrolled in lieu of paying Social Security payroll taxes. The government pension offset follows a similar principle. It limits Social Security spousal benefits, those paid to a spouse based on their living spouse's work and payroll tax history, and the widow's or widower's benefits, paid after a spouse's death. Reductions are based on pension benefits for a retired federal, state, or local government worker who opted out of some or all Social Security taxes and instead paid into another public retirement insurance program. Current law establishes the offset at 2/3 of an alternative pension payment. Under that standard, for example, a retired public health nurse might receive a $1,500 monthly disbursement from a state retirement system that does not participate in Social Security. Then, if that person becomes eligible to receive a spouse's Social Security benefit after the spouse's death, that survivor's Social Security benefit would be reduced by $1,000 each month. Who is affected? Social Security is commonly understood as a universal system in which everyone participates by paying Social Security payroll taxes and later getting benefits. But federal law has carved out exceptions. Generally, there are a few job categories that can be exempt and thus trigger benefit offsets. Civilian federal employees hired before 1984 are covered under the Civil Service Retirement System instead of Social Security. Federal workers hired since 1984 are covered under a different federal retirement structure that requires those employees to participate in Social Security. State and local government employees who participate in their jurisdiction's retirement systems that allow them to opt out of Social Security. Railroad workers who are covered under a separate federal insurance program. Some clergy who can opt out. The Congressional Research Service estimates that in December 2023, there were 745,679 people, about 1% of all Social Security beneficiaries, who had their benefits reduced by the government pension offset. About 2.1 million people, or about 3% of all beneficiaries, were affected by the windfall elimination provision. The largest category of existing workers whose future benefits could be affected are the state and local government employees. There are additional people still in the workforce whose future benefits would be affected. CRS estimated that in 2022, about 6.6 million, or 28% of the nation's state and local government workers, were not covered in the Social Security system. So as those people retire, they could become eligible to get money from Social Security that they would not receive without the changes. When would changes go into effect? The current proposal calls for changes to payments for January 2024 and beyond. If Congress sticks to that timeline, that means the Social Security Administration would owe backdated payments. How much money is involved? The Congressional Budget Office estimates that eliminating the windfall elimination provision would boost monthly payments to the affected beneficiaries by an average of $360 by December 2025.